We call to order the meeting of the Township Board of Trustees. If everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before us we have our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads at this time?
Mr. President, we can remove Administrator number 1, security update.
Any other changes? Okay, the agenda will stand as amended. First thing, let the record reflect Trustee Sabers excused absence for personal matter. Now take us to the sheriff's report. Mr. Cohen.
Good evening, everyone. In front of you should have the October monthly report. Our calls for service were up considerably, 82% increase. Our crashes were slightly down, 8.2%. Crashes with injury were up, however, as well as our alarms. Another increase on our traffic stops, 26%, as well as the citations issued, 66%. Arrests were slightly up at 4.8%, and we conducted 229 vacation checks. Detective Ross had 8 cases assigned, 2 recovered stolen vehicles and 1 breaking and entering, and I believe all those cases are charges pending?
Yes.
Yes. So, and then just our typical monthly comparison chart, and then our year-to-year, and as you can see, it's 2017 is greatly higher than any of the previous years since we started reporting. So,
On the calls for service, I mean, I don't see this as being directly attributable to just the fact that we have more bodies on the streets now. You know, there are certain underlying factors that you guys are seeing that are contributing to that, or?
I'll certainly give you a disclaimer on the statistics for this month. Our IT staff has been working diligently with the Mr. Herbster, I believe is his name, who is the CAD administrator for the county. And he has been working directly with the vendor. So this month, we were not able to get the standard format for our stats. However, IT is saying they're about 97% sure these are correct. We'd like to be very up forward, open and clear about what we have going on. Remember last meeting, we did talk about the Avondale increased enforcement, so there should be some correlation with our increase in traffic stops and with that activity displayed here as well.
any questions?
No, thank you for bringing the vehicles in tonight.
Oh yeah, everybody got
And
it.
so the levy, the 4 new vehicles ready to go.
Ready to go. They'll be up today, so we're good to go. Thanks, guys.
Is there anybody in the audience that has anything for the sheriff's office? That would conclude the sheriff's report. There's nothing unfinished or new business. So turn it over to fiscal officer, Mr. Wool.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in an amount of $484,918.51.
I'll second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
I so move authority to pay. Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino? Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of the following medical claims.
So moved. Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 4 is the investment report for the month of October.
If anybody's got any questions, feel free to see Tom after.
Fiscal officer number 5 is the bank reconciliation for the month of October.
Okay.
Fiscal officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
I will so move. I'll second it. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 7 is a request for resolution to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments for emergency medical services as requested by Ohio Billing.
So moved. Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer 8A is a request for resolution to adopt the attached investment policy, which is incorporated into this resolution as if fully rewritten, and to authorize the fiscal officer to file the investment policy with the auditor of state of Ohio pursuant to statute.
I will so move on fiscal officer 8A.
I'll second it.
This is for discussion, this is a follow-up to pretty much the last 2 meetings where we've been talking about changes within investments, the addition of commercial paper. I think the meeting prior to that was just some of our dated policy from.
Correct, yeah. This revised policy allows us to invest the township funds, a portion of them, in the commercial paper and treasuries, which have a higher rate of return than Star Ohio, and the investment policy hadn't been updated since 1996, so it was due for some updating, and it should increase the interest income approximately $30,000 per year.
It's a good situation. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And fiscal officer number 8B is a request for resolution to authorize Thomas Wolf CPA, Plain Township fiscal officer, to retain meter investment management as broker to implement the Plain Township investment policy.
I will so move on 8B.
I'll second it.
Discussion, just to clarify, how did we identify or how did we go about identifying meter investment management?
We received a few emails from them with their fees and amounts, and it was very competitive to other investment entities, and they handle the investments for like Plain local schools and a lot of other government entities, so they're very familiar with the limitations under the Ohio Revised Code for townships.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that concludes the fiscal officer report.
Thank you. Administrator, Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. I have a resolution tonight authorizing all actions necessary to support the continuation of a government electric aggregation program without DOT provisions pursuant to section 4928.20 of the Ohio Revised Code, directing the Township Administrator of Plain Township to execute an electric supply agreement with Mid-American Energy Services, LLC.
I will so move.
I will second that.
Discussion, I think we need to point out this has been in the works for a couple
Yeah.
months, because there were, what, 98 proposals?
Yeah. Our voters in 2011 passed the electric aggregate, and at that time, the only choice for electric aggregate, meaning bulk buying power for electricity, was First Energy. They were the only ones doing it. Energy companies knew that our contract was coming to an expiration, and I started getting inundated with phone calls and reached out to independent energy consultants, who was chosen as the consultant for Plain Township. They handle the SCOG gas aggregate. So what they did is put our program out to bid and received 98 bids. That's how competitive this has gotten. And again, it's bulk buying, and we went out to bid at the same time as various townships did, so it was even greater rate. So we have secured the rate of 5.22, which is less than our rate right now, less than Ohio Power or AEP. It's a fixed rate, unlike First Energy, it was just like 10% below whatever the current rate was.
10% discount.
10% discount. Yeah, so if it went up, then your price went up. This is a fixed rate. Also, there is, it's an opt-out program, so in February, residences and businesses will get letters about this program. And to be out of it, you just opt out. But again, it's a better rate than any supplier that they're gonna find, because again, it was, you know, huge group purchasing. Also different, if somebody does decide down the road to opt out, there's not a fee anymore like there was with First Energy, so it's a free opt-out. But, yeah, so it's lower than any comparable rate. So again, this is all voluntary, there's no early termination fee. I feel really solid about this, knowing we're working with a really good consultant who was able to get us 98 proposals and come up with a substantial discount.
And the reality is that 98 proposals from 9 suppliers is significant, but to just take that up a little bit bigger, there were actually 134 representatives from 64 companies that were invited
Yes, to bid.
to bid. And the ones that didn't submit, they either weren't prepared to supply a program, they didn't think they were competitive versus the utility, or they've lost too many previous bids, or they're not serving residential customers, so. And this,
They're also going to give us all the website materials we need for people to get on the web, look at it. They'll run by any materials, letters before they're mailed. We'll do an FAQ section on our website, and they want all calls about this program to go to the new provider, which is unlike, I felt like I was our energy provider in Plain Township with the amount of responsibility that I had to do with First Energy, so this will be great.
So this will be getting out soon to our residents and then.
February, because we don't expire till March with First Energy.
Now, you know you're gonna get people who called you before confused.
Yes, I'm ready for that.
So,
Yeah.
will you be taking those calls, or are you gonna be transferring to?
The ones I can take, we had a discussion over what they, you know, as far as they'd like, you know, me to go on my end before referring them to Mid-Atlantic Energies.
so to quantify this for the public, essentially over a 3-year term, this is about $222 savings, so a little over $70.
70, yeah, about 72.
75 a year, so.
Yeah. Well, to know that you're at a good rate, and it will always be less than APP and Ohio Power, and anybody who's been going door to door, knocking on people's doors, and that's what really confuses our residents.
Right, that's what you're gonna be getting those calls now. The ones that got to knock at the door now, they're gonna see this. And
Yeah, the good thing is when this starts, they could be with somebody else, they'll be able to just go right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. Now to the fire department, Chief Challenger.
Yes, item number 1 is our monthly report.
Our response times are really impressive.
It's
I know it's a
amazing.
matter of seconds, but going from 4:20 to
Just go.
4 minutes in October, 4:40 minutes, that's impressive.
The fire go up a little bit, 9%. It looks like that little square is bigger than usual.
Yeah, we actually have had more fire and alarm drops the last month or so.
Any questions?
Okay. Then item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize reimbursement for healthcare membership for Ron DeFrancisco and Joseph Teal, according to provision 37 of the collective bargaining agreement, to be taken from Fund 10A15.
Wilson moved.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize a purchase and payment to B&C Communications for a quantity of 20 800 megahertz radio batteries, and it's multi-charger per state Ohio pricing not to exceed $3,750 to be taken from Fund 21A02I.
I also,
I'll second it.
discussion, just to clarify, this ties in with the new Marks radios that we are getting through the grant that we did in conjunction with Uniontown and Parkville, and this is essentially an enhanced performing bat.
Right, yeah, we wanted to wait
We
till
would have to,
after we ordered some of that stuff to get the best battery we could. They come with one battery included, and then so we wanted to, the ones we wanted to get for our spares, to get the newest ones they had, the lithium ones and some other stuff, and then we needed a charger for it, so, but it does all tie in with that grant, so, so we're all set to go, we're getting ready to start programming them, and, hopefully, next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll be operating on them.
Nice.
That would conclude fire department business.
roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And I just, comment for the sake of fire. Thanks, I mean, since you've taken over as chief, the communication
You've been excellent.
has been truly excellent, and especially the updates down here at the new training facility, just seeing that in process. I know our discussion today, potentially in December, some of those units may start
Yeah, I,
arriving, they've got a finish date by January, so could be well ahead of what was forecasted and scheduled there, so.
yeah, I just talked to the gentleman today from the company. They have some of the pods, I guess you call them, done. They're gonna maybe start delivering some of those in the next week or so, and then getting ready to assemble, so. So with any luck, if weather stays good and all the other stuff, maybe by Christmas there, we'll have something to show.
Weather will stay good, so we get that assembled and we don't have to use too much salt.
Yeah, we don't need salt on
Salt,
Thanks,
thanks,
thanks.
I seen them out there spraying them off.
That'll take us to the road department. Joe?
Item number 1 is the monthly report for October. If there are any questions, wanted that answered.
And just to clarify, everything on the paving is now done and done.
Everything's complete.
I need to complain to this.
No.
Done a pretty good job knowing when somebody calls them or something to complain, but other than that one issue we had off of 34th Street. Other than that,
No. Okay. Good to go.
Okay, item number 2 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Iowa, to authorize the purchase of BE liquid de-icer from K-Tex Specialty Coatings at a cost not to exceed $6,000 from Fund 2B2.
Also,
second it.
discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Turn it over to the Fire Department. Tom?
Thank you, sir. The first item on the agenda is the monthly report.
We've been back at all into Wicker Creek where they're pushing a lot of dirt to expand that back. I'm just curious. I haven't driven back.
We haven't had any complaints from back there. I have no
Not
idea.
that I have, I was just curious from the development aspect. 'Cause I know,
I understand they're getting close to building there.
yeah, that was my understanding as well. I was just curious if anything triggered us to go back there.
We've also, the folks at Edgewood have submitted plans. They're getting ready to get started over there.
And I mean, that, quite frankly, Edgewood has been delayed because of the
Market.
Well, the widening of market and so forth, so as to not congest that too much.
Right.
Plus, they were finally able to lock down the financing to pull the infrastructure through, because they had a lot of interest in onesie twosies, but they've got a couple of developers, a lot, a number of lots. So that plan showing, from what I talked with Bill Lemon, would be the south. Well, it'd be the south side that butts up against Stonehenge to start some of the initial homes, the single-family homes, and then the clusters would be more towards that north.
The entry.
Yeah. Okay.
Tom, curious, that J&K subway, it's close to where Acme has one now across, and that's across the street. Are they moving from Acme and going inside there? Do you know?
I think they might be moving.
Because, yeah, they're right by,
Yeah.
right across the.
Yeah, because that's a J&K also. I mean,
Oh,
it's a
it
same,
is?
I believe so,
Yeah,
yeah.
they must all be
Moving over there.
It's important to people who might have businesses near there. That's the only reason why.
That's the truth, that's all.
Eric just wants to know where to go.
I did that for Eric.
No further questions here on the report.
And item number 2 is a resolution to declare item A as an abatement payment.
So moved.
Second it?
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And that's all we have for zoning.
Thank you, Tom. It's going to take us to Parks. I'll turn that over to Rob.
Thanks. Item number 1 is my monthly report.
Let's see. Anybody got questions? Okay.
Item number 2 is just informative to let folks know that we have our Winterfest, our annual Winterfest this coming Friday at Diamond. From 6 to 9, there'll be Santa, wood carver, ice carver, Oakwood Middle School will be caroling. We'll have a kids' craft tent, we'll have a photo booth inside the community room. We'll have bonfires and concessions. And just be there early and park early because we do have soccer going on. With the holiday calendar, we can't avoid having soccer on that night, so just plan ahead. And it'll be a good night. We'll have a DJ there spinning the tunes, Captain Haynes. It'll be a fun night as it always is, and the weather looks perfect. Yeah, it's between 30 and 42, clear, no rain, and very little wind. And then item number 3 is simply a resolution to authorize payment to Miller and Company at the tune of $25.50.25 from Fund 14A08A for services during the November lacrosse tournament.
I will so move on part 3.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes Parks.
Okay, it's going to take communications. Ms. Campbell?
Yeah, item number 1 is a thank you to the fire department, specifically the crew of Rob Ramey and Mike Hale. And it reads, "Dear Rob and crew, thank you is not a big enough word for starting the process of Rich's life, of saving Rich's life. It is, if it was not for you and your rapid response, Rich would not have lived. On Tuesday, April 25th, he did not live on Tuesday, April 25th. He has had a radical journey to finding out he had a 4-pound tumor in his right kidney and a large malignant mass in his left lung. We praise God and all those who cared for him and give thanks to have him with us today. Happy Thanksgiving, Pam and Rich McElroy." And then item number 2 is from the CM Center. Thank you so much for the donation of food and hygiene items for the veterans. It is greatly appreciated. And we do have another full box that we need to get over to them because the donations keep coming
We
in.
got a check too that come in and give it to you.
Yeah, I'm meeting with Rob tomorrow to go through the stuff and take everything over there.
Actually, just playing off that, Brian, he called me today and it indicated that based on at least some of our advertisement stuff, they got 13 35-gallon bags of new clothes and shoes as well that were donated out there. They were still
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
people are
again,
pouring in with donations.
2 months is approximately what he said that I help out there. So I mean,
That's
folks should
great.
help them make a difference.
Can I get you the check then, Robert?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take everything over tomorrow because I have a big donation from another group that I have to take, so I'm loading up.
I'll be happy to help with that.
Thank you.
That wraps up communication, so it takes us a portion of the meeting, public speaks. Is there anybody that wishes to address the board? Okay. Concerns of trustees?
I don't know, are we mentioning anything about Rich LaRocco right now? I mean, just that, you know, we lost a dear friend and someone who was so instrumental with us in so many projects in Plain Township. He was huge on Veterans Park, which was Snyder Park at the time. Putting that park together, I can still see Rich and I and Joe and Todd. Lisa, I think you were part of that, walking in those cold days, and he was so excited on where we're going to be putting a pavilion and where this playground should sit and what trees we should take out. He had such pride, and he did such good things for us in our community. He was always there for us, always in need, you know, anytime we had a need. With his engineering skills, a lot of times he gave stuff without even charging us. He was just a great man, and we're going to miss Rich. I got to play golf with him a lot of times. He was just fun, energetic, loved his family. And I just hope and wish that he will be doing well in this hard time, because he was a wonderful man. And I can't say thanks enough for what he's done for our township.
Okay. And I think the only thing I had was our December Stark County Township Association meeting is coming up, so Al, if you want me to nominate you for president.
No, thank you. Appreciate your thoughts.
Actually, we've got some ongoing folks, so it may be a ghost town. Nothing else. Concerns of the fiscal officer?
No concerns.
I don't think it's the approval of the minutes for November 14th, 2017, and I will say move.
And I will second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes. There is a need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session. It's 6:27 p.m. from this regular meeting as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 1A, appointment of a public employer official, 1B, employment of a public employer official, 1F, compensation of a public employer official.
I will second that.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.